Welcome to your daily news update on Blip Brief. Small, but almost everything daily.
Welcome to the Deep Dive, your essential guide, really, for cutting through all that daily noise and getting truly well-informed on what actually matters.
Yeah, there's so much out there.
Exactly. So we're here to distill the critical developments from, well, the last 24 hours, mostly, maybe just a bit beyond. We want to uncover those surprising facts, those key insights shaping your world.
Mm-hmm.
Our mission, really, is just to give you that shortcut, to stay ahead of the curve.
And we've got quite a range today. We'll be covering shifts in the Indian economy, global geopolitics, some high-stakes stuff there, and even looking at some, well, frankly, groundbreaking tech.
Sounds good.
And we're not just listing things off. We'll try to connect the dots, give you a sense of why this stuff is significant specifically for you.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's start right here in India, something that could, really impact your daily budget.
The GST news.
Exactly. Prime Minister Modi's I-Day Bonanza announcement. It's making waves. We're talking a proposed GST cut on, daily used goods.
Yeah, quite a few items.
Dropping them from 12% potentially down to 5%. That sounds pretty good to me.
It absolutely could be good news for consumers. Now, this proposed cut, it's estimated to have a revenue impact for FY26 of around Rs 43,000 crore.
Wow, okay. That's a big number.
It is. But it's interesting. It's not just a simple tax cut. It feels more like a strategic move, right? To boost consumer demand, put a bit more cash in people's pockets.
So what kind of items are we talking about?
Well, think about things like ACs, air conditioners, certain snacks, even building materials like cement. They could all get noticeably cheaper.
Right.
So it's kind of a calculated trade-off, hoping to boost the wider economy down the line.
Okay, so a boost for the consumer, maybe a calculated risk for the government budget. But speaking of big money, let's talk about global capital. That money pouring into India.
Yes, the FDI story.
We hear so much about India being an investment hotspot. The numbers, they look pretty eye-catching.
They certainly are. India pulled in over $50 billion in foreign direct investment just in FY 2024-25.
50 billion.
Yeah, and that's a pretty hefty 13% rise from the previous fiscal year. And if you zoom out a bit,
Yeah.
India's actually crossed the $1 trillion mark in cumulative FDI since April 2000.
1 trillion. Okay, that's monumental.
It really is. And what's telling is where it's going. The services sector, that's number one, about $9.35 billion.
Okay.
And right behind it, computer software and hardware at $7.81 billion. So it really highlights how global money is betting on India's skills, its digital economy, maybe moving beyond just, traditional manufacturing.
And which states are getting the lion's share?
Maharashtra is leading the pack by quite a margin. U.S. $19.58 billion. And then you've got Karnataka with about $6.61 billion. Shows where the strong state policies and maybe the talent pools are attracting investment.
And it's not just India saying this, right?
Yep.
International bodies are noticing too.
That's right. UNCTAD, the UN body for trade and development, their report from June this year confirmed India as the top FDI spot in South Asia for 2024.
Okay.
And they specifically pointed out a 28% jump in what they call greenfield projects.
Greenfield, meaning new stuff, not just buying existing companies.
Exactly. Brand new, built from the ground up investments. Those totaled around 110 billion US dollars. And that included a key semiconductor project, which is, strategically very important.
Very important. And also on a really positive note for, everyone's day-to-day finances, inflation seems to be cooling off.
Yeah, that's another welcome piece of news. India's retail inflation eased quite a bit. It hit an 8-year low of 1.55% in July.
An 8-year low, that's significant.
It is. So if you put these things together, easing inflation, strong FDI showing global confidence, strategic investments, it paints a picture of, a fairly stable and growing Indian economy.
Especially compared to some global uncertainty.
Exactly, especially against those global headwinds we're seeing. It suggests maybe that the economic policies are working, creating a more attractive climate for both people and investors.
Okay, so that's the big picture economy. Let's pivot now to the corporate world. Boardrooms, earnings. It's been result season, a real whirlwind.
Yeah.
How's India Inc. looking? What's the market mood?
Well, the stock market itself has been relatively calm lately. As of August 14th, yesterday, the Sensex closed just slightly up, 0.07% at 80597.66.
Okay.
And the Nifty was similar, up 0.05% at 24631.30. We did see some strength in sectors like consumer durables and IT. Wipro, for example, was up about 2.1%.
All right. And any standout corporate results from this quarter? Any big surprises or maybe some underlying trends we should notice?
Oh, definitely. Some key ones to watch. Vodafone Idea, they reported a wider loss, unfortunately, 6,608 crore consolidated loss.
Oof, still tough times for them.
Still tough, but their revenue was actually up 5%, and their ARPU, that's average revenue per user.
Right. How much each customer paid?
Exactly. That stood at 177, which is, respectable, and they've got a new CEO, Abhijit Kishore, so changes there.
Okay. Any good news stories?
Absolutely. Muthoot Finance, their Q1 profit jumped a massive 90%.
90%. Wow.
Yeah, and BPCL, the energy company, their net profit more than doubled. So definite strength in financials and energy.
And what about the IT sector? We mentioned Wipro up, but there was that TCS news.
Ah, yes. TCS laid off over 12,000 people. Now, their CEO was very clear. He said it was not AI related. That's important context.
Right. But still, 12,000 jobs.
It definitely sent ripples through the IT sector, caused some anxiety. But interestingly, you contrast that with Cognizant, who actually raised pay for 80% of their staff.
Oh, okay. So different strategies there.
Very different. And one more in the tech space, Darwin Box, the HR tech startup. They secured another $40 million in funding from Canada's OTPP, kept their billion-dollar valuation.
Still unicorns growing strong.
A good sign for India's sauce scene, definitely.
Okay. And stepping outside India for a moment, what's the global market vibe?
Okay.
Especially with some big geopolitical meetings happening.
Global markets have been feeling pretty positive, actually. The Dow Jones in the U.S. hit a record high just ahead of that Trump-Putin summit everyone was watching.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and generally global stocks have rallied. Even cryptocurrencies saw a boost. A lot of this seems tied to hopes, maybe expectations that the U.S. Federal Reserve might start cutting interest rates soon.
Ah, the Fed rate cut speculation.
Exactly. But there's a but. A crucial bit of data just landed. U.S. producer price inflation, the PPI.
What producers charge, right, before it hits consumers?
Precisely. It surged 0.9% just month on month in July. That's the biggest jump since 2022.
Oh, so inflation isn't dead yet.
It signals that persistent inflation might still be a real challenge. It definitely complicates that whole rate cut narrative and maybe tempers some of that market optimism.
That PPI number definitely throws a wrench in the works, doesn't it? It highlights how these market moves are tied so closely to, well, the global chessboard, geopolitics.
Absolutely. They don't happen in a vacuum.
So what's the broader economic outlook from that geopolitical angle?
Well, the World Bank put out a fairly sobering forecast recently. They see global growth weakening to just 2.3% in 2025.
2.3%. That sounds low.
It would be the slowest pace since the 1960s, actually.
Wow.
And it's driven mainly by, the usual suspects. More trade tensions, a lot of policy uncertainty around the world, ongoing inflationary pressures.
And what about our region, South Asia?
South Asia is still expected to grow faster than most, but even here, growth is projected to slow down a bit to around 5.8% in 2025. So even the faster-growing economies aren't totally immune.
Right in the thick of this, we had that Trump-Putin summit in Alaska. Lots of anticipation. What was the main takeaway or the buzz coming out of it?
Well, the headline grabber was definitely Trump saying he believes Putin will make peace in Ukraine. Quite an optimistic statement.
Okay.
There was also that slightly curious detail beforehand. The Russian foreign minister showed up wearing a USSR t-shirt.
Really? A USSR t-shirt?
Yeah. Make of that what you will, but it certainly set a particular tone.
Yeah.
And maybe more concretely linked to this, the U.S. issued a warning to India about possible new tariffs.
Ah, the tariffs. That brings us right to it. What's the deal with that 25% tariff Trump slapped on Indian exports?
Right. So he imposed that on August 1st, and he explicitly linked it to India continuing to buy Russian oil.
Okay, so it's directly tied to oil purchases.
That was the stated reason. India's response has been pretty consistent. They're saying, look, we're continuing imports based on economics. They're getting discounts on Russian crude, around $2.70 a barrel.
So it's a commercial decision.
That's the argument. The Indian oil chairman basically said they're buying as per the economics. It's pragmatic. But this isn't just about oil, right? Trump's wider Build in America push involves threats of tariffs on steel, on semiconductor chips.
So a broader protectionist trend.
Potentially, yes. It could impact global supply chains well beyond just this specific U.S.-India issue.
And while managing that, India is also balancing its relationship with China. How's that looking amidst all this global flux?
It's interesting. Despite the ongoing border stuff, there's a definite pragmatic engagement happening. China's own factory output, it only grew 5.7% in July. That's their slowest in 8 months.
Okay, so maybe they're feeling the pinch too.
Could be a factor. And India, meanwhile, is actively talking to China about sourcing rare earth materials.
Which are crucial for tech.
Absolutely crucial. Plus, PM Modi has a visit planned soon, aimed at stability, addressing trade imbalances. But what's really insightful, I think, is seeing companies like Apple,
Yeah.
they're actively diversifying their manufacturing, moving some production out of China into places like India, Vietnam. That's partly a direct result of the U.S.-China trade tensions. Business is adapting.
Supply chain resilience becoming key.
Exactly. It's not just politics, it's business reality now.
And beyond these big players, we also saw headlines about the Pakistan PM's comments on the Indus Water Treaty.
A significant regional flashpoint.
And ongoing reports from the Ukraine front lines, Russian advances in the east. It's just such a complex global picture right now.
It really is. Everything feels interconnected.
Okay, let's bring it back home. India is pushing ahead, quite literally powering ahead, with big moves in energy and infrastructure. What are the main goals here?
Yeah, some really ambitious targets. PM Modi has set a goal for a tenfold increase in India's nuclear energy capacity by 2047.
Tenfold. By 2047, that's huge.
It's massive. And this comes as India has actually already hit its 50% clean energy target 5 years early.
Wow, 5 years ahead of schedule.
Yeah, mainly through renewables like solar and wind. So this nuclear push is like the next big strategic pillar for energy security, especially looking towards India's 100th independence anniversary in 2047.
That's quite the vision. Can you give us some concrete examples of how this energy drive is playing out?
Sure. There's a Mumbai firm, Core Energy Systems. They just raised 200 crore specifically to boost capabilities in nuclear and defense sectors. So private investment is flowing in. And on the renewable side, look at Nagpur district in Maharashtra. They just became the first in the state to cross 1,000 megawatts of rooftop solar capacity, mostly through that government scheme.
Pradhan Mantri Surya Ghar scheme.
That's the one. Shows it's happening at the local level, too.
Mm.
And then there are the ongoing dynamics. You've got Nayara Energy, that Rosneft-backed refiner facing EU sanctions.
Right.
They're in talks with the government to figure out how to keep operating, shows the complexities. And we're also seeing India diversify its oil sources. IOC just bought 2 million barrels of U.S. WTI crude.
American oil.
Yep, West Texas Intermediate, for October delivery. And Reliance bought fuel oil from HPCL. It all points to a very flexible, economically driven approach to getting energy in a pretty volatile world market.
Okay, fascinating shifts there. Now let's switch gears to our innovation spotlight, peeking into the future, which frankly feels like it's arriving faster every day, especially with AI.
Artificial intelligence, yeah, it's everywhere.
And Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, he's been making some incredibly bold statements about how AI could reshape wealth globally.
He really has. He's suggesting that the sheer wealth generated by AI could fundamentally change our economic systems, talking about things that sound pretty radical.
Like what?
Like universal basic income, maybe funded by AI profits, or massive sovereign wealth funds, even things like negative interest rates. His point is that this technology could unlock unprecedented value.
And he specifically mentioned young people in India.
Yeah, he said something like 25-year-olds in Mumbai or Bengaluru have never had more power than they do now because of these tools. It's quite a statement.
It really is. What are the deeper implications here beyond just chatbots?
Well, we're moving towards what some call agentic AI. Think AI systems that don't just respond, but can actually plan, make decisions, and take complex actions autonomously.
So AI doing things, not just answering questions.
Exactly. And the big foundational models are still key to this. But there's also a huge focus now on safety, on testing these incredibly powerful systems at scale. And this isn't just talk. Look at Oracle.
What about them?
Reports suggest they're laying off some teams specifically to free up resources to pour into their AI expansion. That's a major corporate pivot.
So if AI makes all this wealth, but maybe displaces jobs,
Yeah.
that UBI idea starts to sound less radical. Huge questions for the future of work.
Absolutely massive questions.
And on the hardware side, the plumbing for all this AI.
Yeah.
There was a really interesting deal involving TeraWulf. They used to mine Bitcoin.
That's right. TeraWulf, primarily a Bitcoin miner, is pivoting hard into high-performance computing for AI. They just signed a huge $3.7 billion deal with an AI cloud company called FluidStack.
3.7 billion, okay.
And get this, Google is taking an 8% equity stake in TeraWulf as
Oh.
part of the deal and providing a $1.8 billion financial backstop.
Google's investing in a Bitcoin miner. Well, a former Bitcoin miner
Yeah.
for AI compute.
It shows how valuable that energy-intensive infrastructure built for crypto mining is now for AI's massive computational needs. Google's move underscores the race for AI power, securing the underlying hardware.
And India's role in this future tech.
India is definitely not just watching. There are concrete plans for a 100-qubit superconducting quantum computing facility.
Quantum computing, wow.
Yeah, moving beyond bits to qubits, potentially solving problems currently impossible for classical computers. And we're even seeing humanoid robots like Automotor's Sherpa actually starting to work on factory floors in India.
Humanoid robots on the factory floor.
It signals serious investment in the kind of cutting-edge tech that could transform everything from manufacturing to research and development.
So pulling this together, what does it all mean for you listening? These innovations, they're not just news items, they are actively reshaping work, wealth, daily life.
The pace is just incredible.
And understanding these shifts, it isn't just about being informed, is it? It's about seeing the new possibilities and maybe the challenges emerging right now.
Well, we have definitely packed a lot in today. From those interesting economic shifts in India, the GST changes, that FDI surge, all the way to the global power dynamics, the tariffs, the trade talks.
And finishing with that glimpse into the future with AI and quantum.
Exactly. It's been a real deep dive across the board.
And if you zoom out and connect these pieces, the economy, the geopolitics, the tech breakthroughs, it becomes clear that understanding this interplay, it's not just about knowing the news, is it?
No, it's more fundamental.
Right. It's about recognizing the forces that are genuinely shaping your opportunities, the world you're actually going to live in. And maybe it prompts the question, how will you navigate this increasingly dynamic, complex landscape?
A very powerful thought to end on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We really hope it gave you some valuable insights. Stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll be back soon to help you make sense of it all.